Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Make It Monday from the South Dakota Agricultural Heritage Museum. My name is Sarah, and I'm the Education Coordinator, and today we are going to make farm animal windsocks. Now, this is a great project to make with the items that you might have around your house. You shouldn't really need to buy a lot of things. I'll talk about a few different ways to do different things depending on what supplies you have at home. But these are a great way to add some color outside right now during these fun summer months so that you can see a little bit of your artwork hanging outside and blowing in the wind. So before we get started, like every week, we're going to go over the supplies that you need, and then I'll go ahead and get started. So the supplies that you will need today are some construction paper, and depending on what type of animal you are making, it will make a difference for what type of color you need for your construction paper. Today I have pink on hand, so I'm going to go ahead and make a pig, but in the directions I've listed online, I go through a few different animal options and different colors you might need. And so I'm using two different colors of pink today. You'll also need some type of a black marker. It can be washable, permanent, whatever you have at home. You'll need a scissors. You'll need some glue. And today I'm using a glue stick that seems to work pretty easy for gluing construction paper and the different things that you're gluing today. I'm using some pink streamers, which is another reason why I'm making a pig, is because I have the pink here at home already. You can use any color streamer that you would like depending on what animal you have, and this is an optional step. So if you don't have streamers, I'll talk to you about what option you have to replace these if you don't have these at home. You'll also need a stapler, a hole punch, and some ribbon. And again, the ribbon is optional. If you don't have a ribbon, that's totally fine. You can also use things like a strip of paper, or if you have anything else at home, twine, anything really that can help you hang that up. So that's what you'll need, and so let's go ahead and get started. So the first step that you'll need to do is you'll need to make some of the facial features for whatever animal you're making. And so like I said before, on the directions on our website at agmuseum.com, you can find a list of everything that you'll need to make depending on what animal you're making. Today, since I'm making a pig, the things that I'll need are a tail, which I've pre-cut out here already. And then I'll also need a nose and two ears. And so I've already gone ahead and pre-cut some of those things out, but the ears are just simple triangles, and then your nose is just going to be an oval. And so those things are really easy to figure out. I cut the nose out of a darker pink paper, and then I cut my ears and everything else, my tail, out of the same pink paper that I'm going to be using for the pig body. And so that's kind of how I differentiated between the two different pinks here, but really it's up to you with what color pinks you want to use for what, if you're making a pig or for any of the other animals you're making. So once you have those things cut out, then you can go ahead and start gluing things down and using your marker to add some facial features. And so you'll start with a full sheet of paper to glue your items on. And I'm going to go ahead and show you. I pre-glued some of my facial features on and pre-did my facial features so that when I do the final step in this process, everything is glued down and nothing pops off and does anything weird. And so as you can see, I've added my two ears up here, so I have those done. I've glued on my oval for my nose here in the center of the page, and then I used my black marker and I added in two eyes and then my nostrils right on my nose. And so I've already gone ahead and got that step done, and so that's all ready to go. After you have your ears and your nose added on, or if you're making a different animal like a chick, having the beak and those types of things on, then you can go ahead and flip your paper over to the back side and add on your streamers. And so as you can see, I've pre-done this as well so that those are nice and dry when I roll this into the shape that it needs to go and be a windsock. And so I have 4 streamers here. As you can see, I have one representing each leg. And so if you're making something like a chick, you'll only have 2 streamers, or like a duck, you'll only have 2 streamers. But for any of those animals, like a pig or a cow or a sheep or anything like that, you'll have the 4 on here. Now I cut mine at 12 inches, and so I just took my roll of streamer, cut 4 12-inch strips, and then proceeded to space them out and glue them on the back. So you can see I have my 4 streamers here for my legs. If you don't have streamers, that's totally fine. You can use a lot of other things that you have at home. You could use ribbon if you have ribbon at home that you want to add as part of your leg. Otherwise, the other thing that you could add, and I'll do a little bit of a demonstration here for you. I'm just going to cut a strip of paper here. You can cut a long strip of paper, longer than this one, and you could accordion fold this to add some legs. And so just fold it back and forth like an accordion. And then that just gives a little extra bounce in your legs that you can glue on the back if you don't have streamers or ribbon or something like that at home. So like I said, this is really customizable and really up to whatever you have at home. And so if you don't have those streamers, that's totally fine. So after you have all these things glued on with the facial features and whatever you're using for your legs in the back, whether that's streamers or ribbon or whatever, you want to make sure you let this sit and let the glue dry. Before you move on to the next step, that's kind of a really important thing to do, because the next step will involve a lot of moving around of the paper, and if your items aren't dry yet, then they're really likely to slip and fall off, and then you have to work on re-gluing later, which is never a fun task when you're trying to get a project done. And so like I said, I've pre-done all of these things so that my glue is dry and ready to go. So I'm ready to move on to the next step, which is actually making this into a cylinder to make into your windsock. And so I'm going to go ahead and take my glue, get the cap off here. And I'm going to glue this into a cylinder. And so I'm going to, on one side of the back of my page, I'm going to glue a very thin strip so that I can roll it up and seal up my 2 edges together. Okay. So as you can see, hopefully I've got purple glue all along the edge here so that I can glue this together. At this step, I'm going to roll this up into a cylinder, and I'm going to glue my edges together. And now at this step, I'm also going to add in some staples so that it really stays nice and tight together. So I'm going to go ahead and staple at the top here. And then I'm also going to staple at the bottom. And that way you won't have to hold this while it's finishing gluing and sealing together while your glue dries. Those staples will hold this together, and it will hold that cylinder shape while your glue goes ahead and finishes up drying. And so I put a staple at the top and the bottom. You can also, if you can, reach kind of to the middle and add a few staples too. So I'll go ahead and add in a few more. Okay. So I've got 4 staples on the back here just to keep that nice and sealed. And so now you can see that I have my nice cylinder shape so that we can move on to the next step. And so the next step that we're going to do is we're going to be using our hole punch here. And the next thing we need to do is add a hanger so that this can hang outside. And so I'm going to go ahead and put 2 holes on either side. You can see I've got a hole on each side here. And then I'm going to go ahead and use my ribbon. And if you don't have ribbon for this step, you can go ahead and use anything like twine. You could use, instead of doing a hole punch and doing ribbon like I'm doing today, you could use a glue stick and paper and just simply glue this in. That's totally fine too. But I'm just going to go ahead and tie this in on both sides here. Okay. So I've got this tied on so that it's hanging, which is wonderful. The last step that you'll have before you get this done is if you have an animal that needs a tail. So I'm making a pig today, so I'm obviously going to put a tail on that. You can take your tail, and for the pig, since their tails are kind of curly, I just cut a circle and cut it into a curl here. I'm going to go ahead and glue the very edge of this at the very end. Make sure I've got plenty of glue on there. And then I'm just going to go ahead and glue that right on the back. So now you can see I've got my tail there. So there you have it. I've got my completed windsock now. You can go ahead and hang this either around your house or outside in kind of a protected area so it doesn't get rained on or wet, and watch it blow in the wonderful South Dakota wind that we seem to have a lot of. So again, this was another episode of Make It Monday from the Agricultural Heritage Museum. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. My name is Sarah, and I'm the education coordinator, and I'd be more than willing to help. So again, thanks for joining us this week, and we hope to see you next week. Bye.